left off, I believe you guys met a few interesting individuals, to put it nicely. Tanaka, you would have spent the rest of the day with Domiel,
Okay.
um, and would have seen a couple of interesting contraptions that he came up with, including a sort of like proto propeller, basically a really big fan that he put on a
Yeah.
dolly and magic to move, and then realized that this was a thing. Um, but
EA for helicopters.
yeah, so you helped him manage. Well, no, I mean more like a regular plane propeller, just
Oh,
propels forward. You haven't figured out helicopters yet. Um, but there is some. Yeah, you would gain a little bit of knowledge about how these weird contraptions work.
hmm,
Um, you guys also met Jacob, the dockhand, a somewhat excitable individual who, well, he's a dockhand. What else do you want? Maldazar the magistrate,
cool.
who has been running this island for, you get the idea, probably a couple hundred years. Um, town seems to love him. His son, Tanis, who is considered a deacon, and he's a weird one, we'll say. Um, uppity, kind of snooty individual. Meanwhile, you also met Tabris, who's taken on the mantle of the town investigator due to all these fires. You guys ran into a fire partway through the previous night and managed to bring it under control after realizing that there were two fire elementals involved. You also found the obsidian pieces that they left behind with unfused quartz in the center. You guys are going to be meeting with Tabris in the morning in the tavern. And for the moment, I believe we had it so that you guys all woke up, and it's before Tabris shows up. So you're all hanging out at a table. Gad had his armor, I guess you could say, or body in a way, cleaned by these weird spider droids that Domiel seems to have put together. And so you guys are all at a table enjoying breakfast for those of you who would like to enjoy breakfast. And yeah, we'll pick up from there. You guys can update each other if you so desire with what you, because you guys were going to be talking to Tabris about what you think is going on and where to go from here. Sorry, I had to clear my throat. Um, so yeah, you've got a large, well, I mean, a decent amount of food, a couple of morning ales for those of you who would like it, as Lydia sort of swings by, dropping off a couple of extra plates of food. And
Yay, ale.
yeah,
Meat would be better though.
I guess Nick would ask them if they have any more of that fucking gasoline oil food.
there are in fact two small cups of essentially what is not exactly crude oil, but oil mixed with an alcohol base in front of Gad and Avalon.
Okay. Yeah, she'll totally take those. Just like look at both of them and slowly just grab them and like slide them over towards her. Yep.
I mean, I guess Avalon would have finished his already. I will leave you like a little bit, not a lot.
She slowly just puts her finger on the edge and tips it over and then grabs the other
Oh God.
You know, if you wanted some, you could have just asked.
I did.
Okay. Well, at this point, after that very odd interaction. A older gentleman you would recognize as Tabris walks in through the doors, sort of his long coat on. He's got a leather-bound book, and you can see in one hand he's got a relatively largish pen with a feather on it. Yeah, he's mid-50s, grizzled. You can see on his hands scars and like sort of long-heeled rope burns as he sits down on the table and looks to each of you. Okay, you called me here this morning. What's going on?
Well, as you know, from the message from the sending spell I sent you last night, we think that the Deacon is behind the fires to the south.
Tennis, really?
Maybe. There's another option. We just. Did we find out that guy's name? The other guy who could have done this? Because he said there was two. The
Aldazar and that his
there were
son.
two guys.
Two guys. I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, let's hear
Domio?
I'm pretty sure he was referencing Aldazar and then the Deacon.
Okay. Trying to figure out exactly what. Yeah.
Well, we can at least tell him that we know it's somebody summoning them there,
Somebody who has access
based
to
on
the
what
summoning
Nick's
spell.
heard.
Yeah.
And quartz, or who is stealing quartz.
Interesting. You say there was quartz stolen. Well, if there's only one
Yeah.
place I can think of where that would come from.
Well, it was stolen from the guy who I don't remember his name.
Domiel.
Yeah.
Domiel.
Yeah, him.
The Arcanist.
No, yeah, not from the mines.
Well, that's good. I've been over to those mines a while back, and well, there's nothing left there. Avalon did a good job of ripping everything valuable out of that mine. So, okay. What makes you think it's Tannis?
Well,
Deacon.
who else would have the abilities to summon elementals on this island?
Well, Domiel could probably do it if he put his mind to it. That's sort of how he's been with magic. He decides to do a thing, and all of a sudden he's a bit impressive that way. And I suppose Maldazar was once, a practitioner of magic to an extent. Not so much, not so like Domiel. Domiel is much more specialized. And I suppose Tannis is on that list. He's
I don't imagine Domiel would be the one to set these fires, as they're a pretty important resource.
I suppose you're correct. But then what makes you think Tannis did?
When I asked you if anything went on the last couple years to maybe create friction between Maldazar and Tannis, you never quite answered me.
Well, it's because I'm not entirely sure. There was a point, I suppose it was around the time that Tannis sort of changed in a way. Or shaped up. I suppose that's probably the correct word. Where his father and him didn't, sort of disappeared from the public eye for some time. My understanding is that Maldazar got ill, something like the flu, but maybe that convinced him? I don't know.
Well, is there anybody in town who maybe doesn't like tennis?
Well, we all put up with Tannis, to say the least. He used to be a bit of a hellion. He's since, in a way, gotten better, but he's arrogant still. He was then, is now. But he's never hurt anyone. At least, not as far as I know.
Well, that still leaves Tannis as currently our most likely person.
Fair enough, fair enough. All right. All right. So what do you plan to do then? What do you need me for? I'm happy to help. I'd rather just get to the bottom of this and get it out in the open.
Did you have any notes or clues as to what anything else that might have happened between the mayor and the deacon?
Well, for some time leading up to the magistrate's apparent illness, it's just odd that it sort of started around then. Tannis would cause trouble, shall we say. A bit of a prankster, a bit of a self-important individual, I suppose. And his father would chastise him for that pretty significantly, but that's pretty normal here. Taking away privileges and locking in the house for extended periods of time, things like that. But, well, it's not publicly known. My understanding is that their relationship grew a bit cold after it seemed that Maldazar had fallen ill. And then he recovered, and shortly after he recovered, the flames began to appear inside of the forest and the mountains.
I'd like to roll insight to see if he's like hiding something.
Sure. Okay. Let's see.
I like the information he's giving, but he's being kind of vague.
Right. You get the idea that he's trying to give you information. He's not entirely sure about, what happened exactly, as far as you can tell, but he's trying to put together information without making assumptions and give that to you. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does.
Just
How big is the town itself? Is it like 1,000 feet across? And like, Any direction?
It would be, so there's sort of like the shipyard area, right? And that's decently sized. I'd say it's a good couple thousand feet across. And then you have these outlying sort of farming areas where you can definitely see crops being grown and, sort of call it sort of a suburbs, I guess, in a way. But I mean, when I say that, I mean it's just a whole bunch of houses on the outside of town. The center of town has um, shipyards, and it's a lot of sort of warehouses and space for shipbuilding and smithery and things like that.
But like how like large is the
Okay,
town itself? Ish.
I would say, not including the sort of outlier houses, something like, it's a little 2,500 feet diameter for the main area,
All right, all right.
with towards the docks there are a couple of spaces kind of along the sides that serve as dry docks, for lack of a better term. But the main area is sort of the thoroughfare, where you have the small businesses, a baker shop and a smithery and all that stuff, and a tailor and all that good stuff, are all sort of within a 2,500 foot radius for the most part. You notice that you would have noticed that there's actually a decent amount of space between the buildings, which is perhaps a little different than most towns you've come into. And you would have seen at some point why that is the case, as they're moving ship parts between buildings to get them down to the dock, from areas outside of the town where they're cutting down trees and fashioning them into things, and then sort of moving them down to the dry dock area.
I'm gonna beckon Tabris to lean in just a little bit closer and say, if we stay a few more days, I do have a locate creature spell that lasts for about an hour, and the next time at night when the fires happen, I can try to track or locate the deacon and see if he ever heads over in that way or that direction before dark. And if he does or does not, that will help us. We'll at least know if it's him or not.
Very well. I would exercise caution, but if you think this is a good idea, well, it sounds like not a terrible idea, I suppose. At least that way we'd know if it's him, or if he heads that way anyway. How do you plan to set that up exactly?
I just have a little bit of fur from the bloodhound, and I cast it, and it lasts for an hour, and I can sense anything within 1,000 feet of me. That well, I can sense one thing within 1,000 feet of me that I describe or name that I'm familiar with.
All right.
I do not actually need to be close to him.
Plan. Right, that seems like a decent plan. All right. Well, just out of curiosity, what if it's not him? I'm sorry, I'm holding out hope, of course. I'd rather it not be one of the townsfolk, but perhaps it is.
Well, if it isn't him, then I guess we're down to the next two options, I suppose.
Stake out.
A barbecue? Sorry, it's a really bad pun. Anyway. Very well. Well, I suppose do whatever you need to do in preparation. If you have anything for me, I'm happy to try to help.
Just, is there possibly anybody who would have any motivation to harm the reputation of either the deacon or the mayor?
Not that I know of. They've run this place pretty well. I do know that there's family trouble, I guess. Or at least that's what it seems like between the two, but I mean, a father and son, I mean, that's pretty normal as far as I know. I know I was a hellion to my own parents, so I don't see how this is all that different, personally. But I don't think that they would be trying to ruin each other's reputation. That seems extreme. I think there's something, I think there's, personally, I think there's something else at play here. But the family is insular about their own internal problems. Makes it very difficult to understand what's happening on that end.
Well, if it helps Eddie for your investigations, our caster, or our fiery companion here managed to pry out of the elementals that they said he summoned us.
Well, I suppose we can rule out the females then, if that's what that means. He is not all that useful. A singular pronoun in a town of a few thousand people. Maybe not as great as I would have liked, but okay. So,
But they're also a caster, so that narrows it down some too.
yes, it does. So that means what exactly? Means someone's doing it, I guess. But well, I'm willing to support you in whatever it is that you think is going to work best, but I'm not entirely sure what to do. This seems I'm out of my depth. Let's just say that. Magic is not really where my talents lie. I'm not even sure after all this that my talents lie with keeping track of things. You can kind of see him rifling through his notebook, looking over. What you see, he sort of sets it on the table and starts flipping through pages. There are extensive notes on everything. He doesn't really try to hide it, but he knows the import-export numbers of different goods for the entire island going back 10 years. He knows, kind of generally speaking, where the most where feuds are between individuals, Jacob, you see on one page, Jacob couldn't pay to have his house rebuilt the third time, at least not fully, and so he knows that Jacob's in debt, and all this stuff is just sort of written down on paper, in his notebook, pretty extensively.
Maybe. Has anybody arrived on the island, kind of newish, who wasn't here before, like say 2 years ago,
Us.
besides us?
Now that I think about it, the last person here would have been, well, probably the ship I came in on 10 years ago. Jacob was just a child at the time, but he came in with me along with his mother. Unfortunately, she passed away about 6 years back, I'd say. Many core were with them, but they're pretty insular and live in the north, away from all of this, which makes sense considering.
Well, that kind of rules out a lot of. That rules out anybody who may have arrived on the island.
If someone's arrived on the island, well, they very likely didn't use the port, if that even happened. But if they did, I'm unaware of it. Not so much. We have a amicable agreement now, anyway, with the Three Brothers Islands. But going back a ways, many years, there was a rivalry. It's always a rivalry. But I wouldn't take it so far as call it an enemy.
Well, with that, we're at least back to square one. We'll stay here and keep an eye on the Deacon. Maybe see if there are any foot tracks or any clues leading to the forest or leading from the forest back to town.
All right. I'll go dig around a little bit more and see if I can't find something, but we'll see.
And maybe see where let's see where the quartz is, aside from where Domiel is using it probably for his magical experiments.
Fair enough. All right. Well, if you need me, you obviously know how to get a hold of me now. That was weird. But, yeah. You've given me a bit to think about. Suppose I'll go and do that. You kind of see him slowly get up from the table.
Thank you for your time.
Likewise. Sort of this look of like, is this really a thing? Like, is it possible that, you kind of got the wheels turning in his head a little bit. He walks off slowly, writing in his little leather-bound journal the whole time. So, how do you guys want to go about this? I'm gonna give you guys actually, since they were stepped away for a second, let's wait a second, and I'm gonna go refill my drink because I need a drink. If you can't tell, my voice sounds pretty tired.
I'm sorry, my face is tired.
Drink too.
All right, I'll be back in just a minute.
Preferably.
I'll let you guys figure out if there's anything in particular you guys want to do.
I'd like to get some rum. Or vodka.
I want to finish my cereal, but like a fly landed in it.
Oh. Ew.
Yeah. I mean, it landed like on like one of my Cocoa Puffs, so I just ate most of the other
Around
Cocoa
it.
Puffs that it didn't touch, and now I'm just like, I mean, I don't want to drink the milk either.
Yeah. Though it could add, a bit of protein.
No, I mean, I killed it, but
Ah.
it's like they're not clean. They're
No.
yeah, it's oh, that makes me sad.
Yep.
So, any thoughts, guys?
Mm,
I'm just glad I can go to sleep without a demon in my head.
What?
Say we just wipe out the town. And if there's no one here other than us, can't summon any fire elementals.
Well, we are having problems with fire elementals instead.
Then again, I'm not sure exactly what you guys saw out there.
It was
I
a lot of
busy getting
fire.
learned.
A lot of fire.
Did you use water?
Yeah, we made a little bit of water, but
Not enough.
mostly just to help put out the fire after, well, we also got set on fire.
Oh, you did?
When
I
those
missed
fire
it.
elementals hit you,
Damn it.
yeah. It was nice and toasty, though. Don't know about you
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
Might react differently to flesh.
Yeah, it tends to smell up the place.
So we think it's this one guy, and he's in somewhere in the caves or whatever, right?
I'm not so sure anymore. Unless somebody was setting up in the caves and cast like an illusion or something to hide.
Yeah, I would imagine they should hide. Okay. Ugh, let me wake up some more, and I don't know. Where else would this person be, you think, other than the caves?
Right under our noses.
What are you talking about? Like, underneath this? Is there a basement here?
Okay, I admit it was me.
Fireball! I'm sorry. No.
I'd be careful with who you say that to.
Say what to?
Raven's not here. It doesn't count.
Claiming responsibility for this. Seems to be plaguing them
was
for quite
you?
some time.
Why would you do such a thing?
It's been 10 years. Come on.
It's been 3
So
weeks.
For you, I've been locked up for 10 fucking years.
Sucks to be you.
Yeah, it sure does.
Explain some of the wrinkles.
I'm casting Firebolt at you.
That'll go well.
Sure. I mean, if you want.
Well, when you start off conversation in the morning with, yeah, why don't you talk about those wrinkles? Like, I don't know. I would imagine a woman gets fucking really pissed off when that happens. Just saying.
I'd imagine I'd get pissed off if that happened. I've had many how can I say this, conversations that started with, oh, let's look at your gray hair. Fucking 28 and I have gray hair. It's terrible.
When I
It's
start
all in
going
my
gray,
beard,
I can
though.
only hope to like have it go in like a cool pattern.
Alright.
I would rather age like a fine wine instead of cheese.
I mean, aged cheese isn't a bad thing. Necessarily.
There are types of cheeses that are bad things.
That's fair. Well, I mean, like, American cheese in and of itself is just sort of a bad thing.
Yes.
Is Saber still not back, or is he muted?
Except there is only one instance where American cheese is good. That's on
Oh.
grilled cheese.
Well, yeah.
But that's the only acceptable place for it.
Yes. But I mean, you can also do a lot of really good shit with other kinds of cheeses instead. So,
There is no cheese. There is only Zool.
that's terrifying in and of itself in a way.
Wrong movie.
If Zool was made of cheese, that would have been a great movie too.
True.
It just makes me think of Pizza the Hut.
Pizza.
I need to rewatch Spaceballs. It was a great show.
Everyone needs to. At
Yeah.
least once a year.
Yeah.
Princess
But I'm
Bride,
assuming-
maybe every other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. That I can agree with that. Yeah.
I hate to kill
You
you. You
wanna-
seem like an agreeable fellow.
I want to talk about a nerd. This rather hot chick came in yesterday with a Fifth Element style tattoo on her
Nice.
wrist. Yeah.
I love the Fifth Element. It's one
Same.
of my favorites.
Yeah, it was one of
So
the
good.
symbols off the brick things.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. Like, that is so cool.
Did it say multipass underneath?
No, unfortunately. That would have been fucking awesome, though.
Right?
Did you have Chicken Good tattooed anywhere?
Aziz, light.
Oh man.
I kind of want to make a divine soul sorcerer named Aziz. Just for that. Maybe if Callum dies, that's what I'll do.
I'm gonna be late for Tuesday's game again this week.
That's
But-
alright.
Next week, I won't be because I have that
Yay.
day off.
Yeah, that's always nice. Yeah,
Unfortunately, next week, I'm not going to be able to make this game.
It happens, unfortunately.
So let's start
Life.
playing on how to kill his character.
I'm sure Lucian can manage his own death. Yeah. All right, so
Yeah, I mean that's about it. I guess we're gonna like just hang out around town. Like I don't know, does anybody want to do anything?
there's stuff to do if you want to. I believe Avalon at that point would, and I'm not going to do his voice because I don't think I can.
Brother!
Come on, try it.
Um,
Do it.
Nope.
Try it.
Just have to sound like a
Nope.
space marine, you're fine.
Right? He would have said something to the extent of, I believe we were going to take a look at that cave at some point.
Okay.
Yeah, so you weren't here. There are a bunch of caves sort of old mines strewn across here. So there's one out here that Avalon himself dug along the back. There are a set of twin caves here. Or no, there's a collapsed mine there, and then a set of twin mines down here that they use to pull resources periodically from. Usually it's iron and that sort of thing. But there was one cave with quartz in it. So yeah.
Oh, hold on. How far away was our battle from the caves?
I think it was right around here ish.
I could.
So
Oh wait, no, I don't have it prepared. Never mind.
Does anybody still have those bracelet things I gave everybody before I died?
I raised my hand.
yeah, everybody
Yep.
does.
We should split up, take a cave each, and report back anything we find.
I am
think that's a
against
great
that.
idea.
The last time we split up, 2 of us died.
I'm not saying engage them or whatever. This is like, moreover, just like a stealthy, let's see what we can find and then group up again sort of thing. This isn't like let's run and smashy, because I know you guys have that tendency, but we're not doing that.
When
Pretty sure
when
the only
when Nick
moderately
says
stealthy ones are you and Lucian.
when,
Lucian, how do you-
when Nick says sneaky, I look immediately at me and Ta and Avalon.
Lucian should go with one group. I should go with the other. So we both have. You have detect magic, yeah?
Yes.
Not talking to you. Lucian, hello.
Yes.
Do you have detect magic or any type of
No,
way?
sorry, I'm not that kind of wizard.
Okay.
How are you a wizard without detect magic?
I
How do
don't
you
know.
not
I
at least
forgot
have
to put it
prepared?
on.
Or as a
I feel like-
ritual?
I feel like every
Wow.
time somebody brings up magic, you're like the doctor from Star Trek. It's like, damn it, I'm a doctor, not a doctor.
All right. Well, do you
Different kind of
have dispel magic?
Yes, that I do.
Okay.
It's handy in combat.
I bet. Go with Ta.
Yes,
Ta,
I'll go with him.
Yeah, we'll take.
Oh,
What
like that.
cave?
He's
What-
mouthy.
Oh my fucking god!
Do
All
you
right.
want me to kill you again?
You
Why
did
did
what?
you kill me the first time?
What cave did we go into, and what caves are there left that we know about to search?
You guys haven't gone into any caves. You have
Nope.
seen one.
Oh, we saw one. Okay.
Yeah, you
Um,
saw where the collapsed mine was.
All right. Do we know the
Yeah,
location of any others, or the general location?
You know where all of them are. Well, all 4 of those, yeah.
Okay.
There's one here on the back of the island. It's the one Avalon built.
Okay.
Or, well, dug out, right? That's where the quartz was.
Right.
There's one kind of on this side, which was the first mine that was sort of put together. It wasn't put together very well, and it collapsed shortly after it was made.
Gotcha.
Then there are 2 mines down in this general area, and it's basically 2 entranceways that split off from each other, going in different directions. They're probably located about 150 feet apart. And you would know that they were sort of natural caves. Both were sort of looked at by some of the townsfolk who might have an eye for ore and that sort of thing. And both of them found veins, but they were going off in different directions. They're not currently connected, but they're not very far away from each other.
Okay. I don't know about you guys, but those 2 caves that are near each other sound like a good place to start. At least if something goes wrong, we're close by.
Sure.
Okay.
So how are we gonna split up if we do that?
2 of us walk one way, 2 of us walk the other way.
But there's 6 of us, including
Yeah, there are
Avalon.
6 of you. So Verdith and Avalon are also with you.
Oh.
We'll just send them to another cave. That'll work out well.
No, neither of them have anything they can communicate with us with.
Well,
Wait,
I mean, you
okay.
guys do have 4 walkie-talkies as well.
Oh wait, yeah, I got one as well. Okay, so there's what? Proper English Brit construct, and then who else?
Verdith, the
the fuck's
new
that?
Black Dragonborn,
Oh,
fire
okay.
barbarian who got set afire last time.
A lot.
Oh, well, I would probably be afraid to light them on fire. So why don't they go with Todd and Lucian, and we'll take Crazy Construct.
All right, sure.
All right, so the groups as they are, we've got Nyx and Gad.
The 2 loudest motherfuckers.
All right, Nyx, Gad, and Avalon.
Not
and
the
then
loudest.
Todd, Lucian, and Verdith.
I still have
Okay.
my boots of elven kind. My footsteps don't make sound.
Oh, all right. Then.
Yeah, it just cancels out the disadvantage.
Yeah.
All right, so you guys are headed off that way. Any preparations you want to make beforehand? Anything else?
Nyx just has clothes, so I guess she'll just put her hood over her head and like try to dull out the hair.
Okay. So at this point, it's not even really mid-morning yet. You guys were up pretty early to speak with Tabris. So you guys head out. It's probably around 9. It's a good hour walk over towards the mines. As you go, you do see scorch marks on the ground, and you kind of all go together as those 2 mines are very close to each other. But you head over. You see scorch marks on the ground, including the one from the previous night. You can see little bits of grass peeking out, already growing, despite the inferno that was there the previous night. There are still some tools and buckets of water and that sort of thing strewn around the area. But as you sort of keep going, you do notice that there is, well, it's not really a path or like a road. There's definitely a clearing, right? Sort of a path that's been cut down through the trees to the mines themselves to, facilitate moving large amounts of ore to and from the city. However, you don't see any carts or anything like that. And as you come up to the mountains themselves, you can see 2 large cave entrances with pickaxes and shovels and general mining tools sort of stacked up outside on a rack, essentially. About each entrance is about 150 feet from each other, and yeah. So you guys want to just separate into your groups and head in, or
Do the pickaxes look used, like recently at all?
I was gonna say I want to investigate the area and see if there's something noticeable.
Sure. You give me an investigation. The pickaxes themselves worn to an extent, although it's kind of hard to tell if they've been used right, like last night or something, but relatively recently, probably.
Who's
Okay.
been mining
You
recently?
get stuck in the metallic shine of the pickaxe, Nyx, and yeah,
Shiny.
you don't really notice anything else.
I'm gonna pick up the pickaxe she's staring at and just carry it with me.
Okay.
I was gonna suggest that. Yeah, I want to ask the other guy that is going with the pick one as well.
Okay. let's see. There'll be Avalon picks up an extra pickaxe.
And before
So
we head in, I'm gonna just gesture to bring me the pickaxe, and I'll cast the cantrip light on both pickaxes, and that should last for about an hour.
Okay. That works for me.
all right.
You have a glowing used pickaxe.
Yeah, that works for me. So which cave are we taking? Do you have a preference?
Would Avalon know which one is probably more likely, or like?
I mean, they're two caves next to each other. There's one on the right and one on the left. You're really, I mean, it looks like there might have been more recent foot traffic. And by that I mean like within like the last week. It just looks a little more scuffed up. To the one on the left. But that's about all you're gonna get, really.
All right, Tal, what do you think? You want the east or west tunnel?
You want left or
Doesn't
right?
matter.
You're looking right. All right, then yeah. Well, I guess Nix will just start walking towards the west cave.
Okay. So the three of you head into the left tunnel then?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Meanwhile, Ta, Lucian, and Verdith, I assume that leaves the right tunnel. Anything you guys want to do before you head in?
I just want to say this is a great idea before I start walking in.
Yep, okay.
Actually, also to Lucian,
Yeah.
it would be best if you snuck ahead and sort of checked a length of tunnel, and then I follow behind, because if I try to sneak forward, it's probably going to get you killed.
Actually,
again?
Verdith looks at you and says, well, I mean, if we need to, I can potentially sneak ahead. I don't wear armor, so...
Yeah, that too.
10.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, for
So-
disadvantage.
So this is gonna be weird. I normally don't run these kind of in tandem, but
Split the party.
yeah. Okay.
Yay.
So Lucian, you run sort of pop ahead. How far ahead do you want to be from the party?
30 to 40 feet.
Okay. You're out about 40 feet or so. You guys head in about the first 100 feet or, ish. And so far, it looks like a mine. It's just sort of the entryway. The light still spills in from the opening. And the path itself curves off and down to the right, further away. Meanwhile, the other three, how are you guys approaching this?
I mean, we're
I-
both made out of metal.
Yeah, there's like no way that you're not gonna get caught here. So why don't you guys just go up front, and if something happens, you guys can just back up slowly, or yeah, I got something up my sleeve, so don't worry about it. Let's go.
Yeah, I'll just take my shield out and just like advance. While just like
Okay.
watching everything with the thankfully the pickaxe hanging from my belt, 20 feet of bright light and another 20 of dim light.
Right. So there's sort of a 40-foot light cone around you. Thankfully, again, the light does spill in from the entryway. And you guys head in about 100, 150 feet. And interestingly enough, very much like the other group, it looks a lot like a mine, as one might expect.
Dun dun dun.
But yeah, so for the purposes of this, Lucian, go ahead and make me a perception check as you continue on. And
Nice.
very nice. And because the other group is
you
sort of with
learned.
each other, Nyx and Gad, go ahead and give me perception checks.
Not bad.
All right. So you guys continue for a ways. There are branching paths. Lucian, as you sort of come up to each one, you take a quick look down them, and they look kind of your typical strip mining operation, right? Branching paths off the main path to search for ore, following ore, whatever.
Yeah.
Nothing overly interesting for quite some time.
Can I check to see if maybe there's like footprints?
Sure. Well, I'll say for the purposes of this, you do see footprints. Quite a few footprints, sort of left in the dust. However, the dust has settled over them quite a bit, so they're kind of older.
Okay. Anything
Nothing,
like new?
no real new footprints as far as you can see.
Okay.
As you sort of continue on, you do sort of see a couple of odd bits where the main path branches out again. You guys took the right hand path, right? Yeah. Or the right hand thing. So you
Sure.
do come to a fork in the path in the main tunnel. One going right, one going left. As you sort of look at it, the one going right, obviously, at this point now curves almost directly north, or what would be considered north, but there's no magnetic thing in the plane of air. But you know what I mean. And the other one sort of seems to wind and continue on, sort of along the main path. They're both dug out to about the same size, right, of the main tunnel.
What color?
There seem to be older footprints headed north, and I guess, or older disturbances. You can see, there's just a lot more dust and the like on the right hand side. And it seems like this the left hand side seems to be maybe newer dug. You're not entirely sure, but it seems that way.
What color are the stone walls?
Mostly gray. It seems to be a granite for the most part. Very hard stone.
So if I were to if I had charcoal and I wanted to mark a spot, it would pop up.
You probably could. Yeah, chalk would probably be better as white, but you could do it with charcoal. Yeah, and it would still show up.
Not that I have any charcoal, but good to know.
Wow. So if I had a GPS, we'd know exactly where we were, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. It's kind of what's going on here. But yeah, so yeah, you see that fork, and
Would
as
a
you sort of
firebolt cause the same effect?
as charcoal.
Yeah, would it like leave a scorch mark?
If there was something to ignite,
Hmm.
potentially.
Okay.
But if it's, I mean, it would be the same as like burning lighter fluid on concrete. It doesn't really do anything unless there's something there to actually burn.
Makes sense. Okay.
I mean, you could try to burn something and then use, the soot or ash from that if you wanted to.
Talk? No, I'm kidding. I'm playing.
Todd does
We could
like
also
burn.
literally just scratch something into the rock
Yep.
That's
with
always an
some
option.
sort of metal. If only we had some sort of metal device around here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think we have anything like that.
Yeah,
I think we forgot that. Damn it.
Did you guys not pick up any pickaxes?
Top punches a wall in anger, and all of a sudden, scratch marks on it. Okay, so you've got no.
Oof.
I guess the left.
Sure.
Take the left. Okay. So you
Since
guys
it
are headed down the
looks
left path.
quote unquote newer, at least
Right.
compared to the other one.
Right. All right. So you head down the newer path. Meanwhile, the rest of you are headed in the left hand uh, one, and this one doesn't seem to have a branching path. It just continues on
Oh,
multiple
God.
strip mines, sort of, or like pathways, sort of breaking off thin pathways, seeming to be used just for mining, following ore, that sort of thing. You do get to a larger area, sort of where it opens up, and considering that you've spent a lot of your life underground, Gad, I'll say that you would probably recognize this as, not a natural formation, a natural gap in the rocks. What it was filled with at one point, you're not entirely sure. Probably some kind of liquid. Might have been, a small pool of water or anything along those lines. But it's empty now, and you can see that there are what look like wooden boxes, empty for the most part, but sort of like thrown up along the sides as chairs and sort of makeshift seating and that sort of thing for a break room. Hasn't been used in some time.
Any tools left around, or like ore on the walls?
There's the odd pickaxe, and you notice a bunch of tally marks on sort of made from a chisel, essentially. There is a table, well, a makeshift table with a couple of chairs, and the table's all scratched up. It has a bunch of rock dust on it, but it's there.
And does
I
anything? Go ahead.
Go ahead.
All right. Does anything look out of place for like a mining thing?
I'd say if this was supposed to be an active mine, like it was used in the last day, it looks, like it doesn't look like that. You don't see a bunch of tools left all over the place. There are a couple of pickaxes and shovels and that sort of thing, sort of up against the wall here and there. But I mean, like we're talking like 3 total.
But not like
Um,
any weird formations or like
Not in
not
this
that
room,
that
no.
structured.
No, I mean there's the tally marks on the wall, but they look, man-made for sure. They're just sort of rough, um, sort of chiseled out, marking something, but you're not entirely sure what. Um, they definitely look relatively new-ish, right? As compared to, the way that the rocks look. Um, it looks like a disused break room. I mean, it's covered in dust, and um, there's nothing that really jumps out at you. There is a small uh, area that looks like it might have been a potential fire pit, weirdly, but it's not in use. It's just
Not
there.
in use right now, or has it been used
No,
recently?
it hasn't been used in quite some time. It's a ring of stones with what looks like charcoal in it. Just burned wood that's been left there, and it's old, very old.
If we ever need to fall back to take a rest, if anything happens, this wouldn't be a terrible spot. But I guess guess I'll is okay. So I'm gonna actually investigate the area to like if there's anything there instead of just looking.
Sure, give me an investigation. Okay. You start digging around in the boxes and going through the kind of fucked up. A lot of the tools that are here are kind of broken or very weak. You get the idea that this was just a spot that they threw the stuff that wasn't working very well. Um, After a little while, you do dig into one of the boxes used as a chair. Inside, you find a small uh, set of 3 pieces of paper. First one has kind of a rough map up to the point that you're in, with the branching pattern, of mining tunnels that sort of branch off from this main tunnel. There are notes, sort of dimensions here and there about different pieces. And as you sort of look at that, the second page has the tunnel going a little bit further, and shows a tunnel headed up towards the north. From what you're guessing, another 1,000 feet in. You can't see it from here. Obviously, the tunnel sort of winds or whatever, but it heads to the north. Doesn't seem to have an end. The last bit has some notes, and a date. And the date is set about 1.5 years ago. Seems to be when these papers were last written on. At least as far as you can tell. There are little notes about, okay, we found, a bunch of iron here, so we're working on that. We found a bit of tin over here, found some copper in this spot, sort of a
Like
a
an unofficial
legend.
like list of
Yeah. And then towards the end, there is one that says we found some odd formations indicative potentially of gold, and we are now attempting to follow that. And that's the last entry. And that correlates. There are little numbers next to it, right, of the path number, right, where these are. So the iron is sort of the branching bit, number 28, and the copper is on branching path 18. This one is set to branching path, quote unquote, 47. And looking back at the map, it's also marked with those small numbers. And 47 seems to be along this path that heads towards the north, a little bit further down. That's about all you find, though.
Are you
Everything
showing
else
this to
seems to
anybody?
be.
I will I'll show the party members and ask Avalon have they been coming in here recently or like is this part of the town excursion or is this somebody else? Because he said he's been watching every night.
Yeah, he sort of looks over it and says, "Well, this is somewhat old. As far as I know, this mine was. We stopped production here as we didn't have any need for any new materials for a while. This seems like a foreman's notes, as far as I can tell. Why they're here and not back in the town is odd, but at the same time, people forget things. As far as I know, the mines haven't had any activity in the last year or so. We've sort of discontinued their use for some time. We haven't
Alright.
had need of materials, and should there be a fire at the entrance of one of these caves, well, that would potentially burn out the oxygen, and yeah, very dangerous.
I'm gonna tell them tell them about the maps and the notes over the bracelet.
Bracelet's just out of range at this point. You guys are going away from, mostly away from each other. The other group is sort of staying, roughly straight.
Hello?
However,
Hello?
the walkie-talkie would work.
Nix,
Give
can
me
you-
those papers right now. Let me see them.
I mean, I already showed you to him. Nix, can you let Ta know about the maps?
Oh. well, yeah. Hold on. So I guess Nyx goes and grabs it, and I guess she forgets how to use it. She hated him so much. I don't even know if she knows how to use it. So I guess she's just like I don't know, squeezing it or something. Like, how the fuck do you work this? But I don't know. Either way, so she'll say it on the Rocky Talkie. Okay, there's pretty much not much here. We did find some maps and shit, and possibly somewhere we can go mine some gold later. So we're gonna turn around and head back towards you guys.
Would we hear that, or did she fail at using the fucking rock?
You know what? Just for entertainment's sake, Nyx, make me a history check. Because you were shown how to use this.
Hey.
Okay. Yeah. It's a little garbled at times, as you know, the finger slips or whatever. But you get the gist of the message. I'll say.
All right.
All right. So that group will. You said you guys were planning to head back.
Yeah. How long has it been roughly?
Oh, I'd say you guys have been exploring for about an hour, hour and a
Cool.
half.
So
Ish.
I would just recast light on the pickaxes.
Okay. Meanwhile, other group, you guys head down the older of the tunnels. You have a
Newer.
oh yeah, the newer. Sorry. Yep. You guys head down the newer of the tunnels. Eventually coming to what looks like its own sort of break room sort of deal, but this one has branching paths everywhere. They're thin. Ta, you would not really be able to fit through them very easily, if at all. There are several small chisel marks on these ones, sort of indicating a number, similar to what the map did, only over the top of these branching pathways. There is some detritus, but it seems like it's mostly been cleared up for the most part. However, give me an investigation for the room. Well, okay then.
Fuck.
Yeah, as you step in and start exploring the room, you don't notice it right away, but it doesn't take you. There is a sort of a thick coating of rock dust on the ground, but as you step and then step away, you notice that the ground is discolored around where you or wherever you step. It's a little darker. Um, after noticing this as a pattern, you sort of blow away some of the dust and realize that underneath is a black soot in this room.
Hmm. Interesting. I'll keep looking.
Okay. Looking around, you notice that most detritus has a lot of this sort of gray dust on it, and that's pretty normal. But as you sort of look under that as well, it seems to have been burnt.
What I was thinking.
After a while, you kind of realize like you can't really tell 100% where. If there was a fire in here or something like that, where it necessarily originated from, but there was likely a fire in here at some point in the past.
Too bad we don't have any dating methods.
Yeah, no carbon dating.
No, ta-ta. Seems
Hmm?
stuff burned.
That's curious.
Yep. Can't really tell where the ignition point is.
Is it just like coating the entire room?
For the most part, yeah. It almost. I mean, the rooms are probably about a 20-foot diameter room. It's not very big.
Size
And it
for
has a
fire-
bunch of. Yeah, I mean, Lucian, you'd know. A fireball in here would fill the room. But yeah, I mean, it seems like it was contained mostly within this room, as far as you can tell.
Well, I can't see any reason to have a fire in a mine. So this may be something we're looking for.
Yeah, fires in mines tends to be a bad thing.
Yeah. I'll go ahead and use the Rocky Talkie to radio or whatever you want to consider it.
Yeah,
The other
I
group
gotcha.
and kind of explain what we found. And I don't know, do you want them in here, Lucy?
Sure.
Okay, I'll sort of give them rough directions of the way we came to.
Because I don't think you're going to be able to fit down any of most of these tunnels.
I've got some sneaky ways about me, but it's a very short term thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to lose some weight.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So the other group gets that message. That all. I'll say coming out as opposed to going in, you actually know the path now, and you're not quite so worried. It'll take you.
If we do like a light jog over.
Yeah, I mean, even so, because you got to go out your tunnel and then back into the other. It'll take you a good 40 minutes to get there. Meanwhile, the other party.
Speaking of weight, geez, hasn't Nyx put on a couple pounds?
I thought she just looked a lot, well, I'll just say older. That's the nicer way for me to put it.
Yeah. All them
Not really
wrinkles.
holding up as well. Yeah. That's sort of where I was getting.
Guess it's a good thing she's not here right now, huh?
Whatever. There should be more fire in here then.
Oh God.
Man, you guys are fucking relentless.
But as you guys hang out there, and Verdith sort of looks around a little bit and then realizes that, I mean, he could probably fit down one of these tunnels. It'd be very uncomfortable for him as well. He just kind of stops, sits down, basically falls asleep while sitting against the wall.
She keeps saying that she was gone for like 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. She'd have to be like, what, 60 or 70 now?
Oh, I thought it was more like 90 or 100. I don't know how old they live for.
Me either. Maybe we should ask her.
Yeah, you go ahead and do that. I
as you
haven't
guys-
died yet, so I wouldn't mind avoiding that.
A few more minutes go by, and you can see a little bit of light bouncing off the tunnel a little ways away. The other group, you guys do run into the fork in the tunnel, and you can see pretty easily in all the dust and stuff the footprints of Verdith and Lucian and Ta.
The elephant feet of Ta.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And you guys head off in that general direction,
Quick,
meeting up with the
Somebody's
group.
coming. We'll ambush them.
Okay.
No, it's fine.
Oh God! But you meet up with the and you guys are now in this small 20 by 20
Not
sort of room, and you can see basically what I said before.
I'm gonna show them the map and have them take a look at it too.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep the light axis going.
Well, there's numbers
Okay.
about these tunnels.
Yeah, it's all labeled and stuff.
Not surprising.
Yeah, none of the numbers seem to correspond with the ones on that particular sheet. However, looking through it, you do see that all the let's see here. There are numbers between. So like I think the highest number was 47 in the other tunnel. There's like a 12 in front of you. There's also a I think it's a 23. So it seems like these two tunnels share their own, or share the number convention between them.
Oh, that's nice, actually.
Yep. Means they're connected somewhere.
Well, now that everything's nice and lit up in here, I guess I'll start looking like, why is there so much soot in here?
After looking around for a couple minutes, sort of dusting off a couple pieces, seeing soot underneath, you come to the conclusion that there was very likely a fire in this room at some point.
Does Avalon know what was in this room?
He thinks about it a little bit, and then turns to you with, well, about a year ago there was reports of a fire in the mine. I didn't really follow up too much. I just tried to help people get out. Nobody's really sure how it started or where exactly it started, but apparently it started somewhere around here. Beyond that, I don't know. And it's part of why we shut down all the mines, at least for now, until we can get this fire thing under control. We lost, I think, 6 people that day, and many others were, in not great condition for some time afterwards.
We can always ask Tabris when we get back out later.
Suppose that's true. Yes.
Can I use my unlimited experience with fire to figure out what's going on in this room exactly?
Experience.
Unlimited experience with fire. Okay.
Well, it's still going, so I mean,
All right. Go ahead and give me an investigation.
Damn.
Hey, I'm getting higher each roll.
I mean, that's a
Yeah.
natural 18, man. You don't get much higher than that.
Yeah, not much.
Other than 19 and 20.
Okay. So it's a I mean, it's kind of blobby, but it's vaguely a circle room, right? Here. And then it has a whole bunch of branching paths. Towards the top, there are, and when I say the top, sort of to the more towards the north, there are 3 pathways that sort of lead off in a generalized northern direction. They're pretty small, and all of them seem that they were made newer, or they were made more recently. You're not sure exactly which path it started in, but it started in one of those 3 paths, relatively close to the end to the opening into this room. That's sort of the feeling you get. There is soot on all of them. There is the one headed northernmost seems to have more soot in it.
Okay, well, yeah, I'll point that out and say that the majority of the fire came from that direction, or at least was focused around that direction.
Is it connected to any tunnels at all, or?
You wouldn't know. You don't have a map of that or anything, and nobody's gone exploring. So
Yeah, I was going to say Nix just walks over there. Bucket.
okay, yeah. For Nyx, it's not hard to. I mean, you can walk in, front ways, no real issue. And you begin walking down the tunnel.
Hey, slow down. And I
after
make a show
about-
of like knocking into the fucking.
Okay.
You
Gad
need
jams
to
his
do
head
that.
into the pathway. Gad, how hard do you give me a strength check?
Oh, I don't really do it that hard. Just like, I mean, we
Okay.
can't fit in here.
Yeah. Well, next I mean you've walked 30 feet at this point, I'll say. And you notice that the soot is dissipating again. You have dark vision though, right? You're muted, by the way.
What? Sorry.
You have dark vision, right?
Yes.
Okay. About 30 feet down the path, you notice that the soot seems to get lighter, like there's just less of it. However, a little bit further down, you can see where there's likely some more soot, maybe 60 feet away from you or so.
Okay. I'll just like go. Is there like a corner I can peek around or something?
It's mostly straight. It winds a little bit, but there's no
Okay.
that you can see. It's a mining tunnel. It's literally just made to pull shit out of it.
Okay. I'll keep going, but I think Nyx will just prepare to like cast something in case she
Okay.
gets in trouble.
Okay. You got a spell in particular in mind?
Dimension door. She'll cast that.
That's fair. Okay.
Classic.
So you continue down the path.
Evolution doesn't have.
It's a good spell. As you continue down, you notice, and it's not all the time, but there are streaks of soot throughout the entire pathway. Sometimes on walls, sometimes on the floor. Sometimes it looks like another one of those explosions. It's odd, but this pathway seems to have really gotten the shit kicked out of it in the fire regard. You continue down. The rest of the party loses sight of you. I mean, relatively quickly, you leave their dark vision sight. You walk for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and you finally come to something that's a little different. There is, on the right-hand side, you can see kind of up and into the, towards the ceiling, there's a black discoloration that's not really soot, as far as you can tell. If you sort of stood on your tippy toes and reached up, you could probably, touch it. But the tunnels are big enough to walk through, but that's about as good as you get, right?
Okay.
However, give me. Well, nah. You definitely see this odd discoloration, and it sort of runs in a vein across the ceiling.
Okay. I guess she'll try to just like put her finger on it and just like, I don't know, rub dust and shit off. Just get a closer look at what the stone is.
So as you
Or
do that, small black flecks sort of fall down onto your hand. Your hand is now covered in a black substance. I mean, not covered, but just sort of dust and stuff. You would recognize what this is relatively quickly. It's coal. It seems that there was coal in this pathway, and you can kind of see it following along in a vein across the ceiling.
okay.
However, you also see a little ways away something that you haven't seen so far. It is, in fact, a corner.
Fuck that corner. She's gonna turn around and head back.
Okay.
She's been gone a while. Do we want to? Is she dead?
I'll use
Probably.
the sending stone and tell them what I found, and then I'm coming back.
Sending stone?
or the
Rocky Talkie?
the Rocky Talkie, whatever the fuck that goddamn thing is. It's been 10 years.
At
Give me
this
some.
point, at this point, you are actually outside of the Rocky Talkie range currently.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess she'll just keep going until she can get in range. She'll just keep using it and being like, "Hello."
Okay.
How does this thing work?
So those of you who with Rocky Talkies in the main room, after about say 25 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, all of a sudden you hear next "hello" through the Rocky Talkie.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
That was a really unflattering hello.
That was the point.
So yeah, I think I know where the fire came from, but yeah, either way, I'm on my way back. There's a bunch of coal back there.
Okay. You think that's it? The coal?
I don't know. Well, there's a it continues down, but there's like a bend in the path, and I kind of didn't want to, walk past the coal that's on the fucking ceiling by myself.
Why not?
You're
Ready
yes.
to kind of jump
Fire.
out and get you.
You're resistant to fire, right?
Okay, I want you guys to see this. Okay, it's the equivalent to hold my Stein. All right, hold my Stein and watch this.
I'm gonna ready my shield.
Fair enough.
I'm gonna shrug and just start walking down the pathway.
Okay, you kind of have to squeeze. You have to go sideways,
Okay.
right shoulder first. Only more because of the armor. I mean,
Yeah.
you're mostly all right, but like you still gotta kind of angle yourself to get in. So you start walking down the path. Okay.
I'll just look towards Ta and Avalon's like, there's no way we're getting in there.
Speak for yourself, Tin Can. And I'm going to cast Reduce on myself and just fucking walk through.
Okay.
All
so
right.
mini dwarf starts walking
Mini
down the path. All right.
Nyx just died laughing. She just walks behind him, thinking it's fucking hilarious.
No,
You're not there yet.
You're stuck. You're not
Wait,
here
I'm
yet.
stuck?
You're not.
Oh, you
well,
guys
I
are
mean,
walking
like,
in after. Okay, got
Yeah.
Yeah. So like,
Yeah.
my only point would be Nyx. The order here is pretty well fixed. So you're in front, quote unquote. If we use the room as the back, and then Lucian, and then Ta. You're not really able to move past each other. Without some really weird shit. But yeah.
That was the only one, right? That narrow section.
No, the whole thing is narrow.
Oh, I thought it was just like a
He doesn't know
pinch point.
that.
It's not like a doorway.
Oh shit. Well, like after I get into it, then I would realize that it doesn't get any wider, and then I would actually go back out. I thought it was just like a squeeze through, like kind of like a doorway type scenario, like a
Nope.
short section. It was.
It's-
Oh, never
it's
mind.
a really,
the whole
really
path
long
is pretty
hallway.
thin.
Okay. Well, I mean, if I
Yeah,
couldn't fit in
for-
there like if I can tell that I wouldn't be able to fit in there normally, then I'm not going to actually go down that way because after a
You
minute,
get the like you step in, you kind of follow it for a second just to see, because it
Yeah.
does wind a little bit, and you realize, oh, I'm not going to fit anywhere that I can see.
Okay. Yeah.
So you
I'll-
turn around
I'll
and
come
start
back
heading
up.
back. Give me a dexterity check.
Okay. Nope. I mean, I only would have walked for like 30 seconds because I know I have a minute on that spell.
Yeah, but at the end of that, you start to feel that that energy. As you begin to revert to your regular size, you see yourself about 30 feet away from the door. You kind of jump through. It kind of squeezes you. It catches sort of you by the hips, and you kind of have to pull yourself out. So you got like a Ta halfway in the door, but at least it's not your shoulders because that would have actually crushed you.
Yeah. Well, I could have
Um,
just dropped the shield too if that was an issue.
Yeah, I mean, I would have assumed that you did that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so now there's a large shield partway in the hallway, and Ta is pulling himself out of the doorway.
I'm just gonna watch.
Are his legs
Yeah,
like
so-
flailing and stuff on the other side?
It's like fucking Winnie the Pooh.
Um,
In a jar of honey, yeah, except you're going the
Yeah.
other direction.
So it turns out it doesn't actually get wider like I thought it did. Nobody described the fact that it stays narrow when they were walking down there. So
Good job, Nick.
yeah, you're right. None of us can fit in there.
Well, I mean, some of you can, 2 of you can, but the rest
Well,
of
I
you
mean,
are pretty well
That's-
screwed.
I'm-
Yeah,
I'm speaking to
yeah.
and
I mean, Gadriel doesn't have like a face to emote with, but you could probably tell he's being a little smug right now.
Anyway,
but tin cans don't have emotions. I wouldn't know that.
so
raises-
Lucian, as you continue down, eventually, so the two of you are sort of next to each other. Neither of you can really move past each other, but you also see these sort of soot stains, I guess you could say, along the rock. And with what Nick said earlier, between the two of you, you guys could pretty easily figure out that this is probably just small bits of coal veins that burned up along the way. Thereby increasing the fire, which is always great.
Where's everybody else? Why is it just you?
They couldn't fit. They're too fat.
All right. Well, I guess let's go back and
Told them
Just-
they needed to lose weight.
yeah, they do. Have you seen the gut on Ty? I think
I know,
he may be
jeez.
going a little bit. I mean, it's been 10 years for me, but it's like been a few weeks for you. He's got a gut.
Like to
About that, I
cave
gotta
in
say,
the
your
entrance.
ankles don't look too bad.
So, as you
That's
guys are
looking
having
pretty
this
good for-
discussion, because I've been just waiting, you hear a crack sound. Just almost like a thunderclap. And then you hear another one and another one, which is really odd. I'd like Nyx and Lucian to give me perception checks. Okay. Nyx, you're not entirely sure where the hell it's coming from. Loud and annoying and disorienting. Lucian, you see something different. Now, the first crack was very, very close to you. The other one seemed further away. The rest of the party can also give me perception checks, and we'll see if you recognize this as well.
I'm being
However,
too smug.
Lucian, you see all of a sudden the stone a little bit
Wow.
a little ways away from where you are, towards where Nyx came from, has broken. And there's a slight bit of light emanating from there. And all of a sudden, you also recognize that there's some heat emanating from there as well. The rest of you, Ta, you hear that sort of cracking noise. One kind of in the room that you're in, right, or just off to the side, in one of the other paths, not the ones that they went down. And you can now see a little bit of light coming from there. The other one happened further up the tunnel, and you're not entirely sure where.
Like a orangish yellow light.
You would probably describe it that way, yeah.
Okay.
Are they casting
Um,
fireballs down there?
I would say at this point, Lucian, next.
Mhm.
You recognize Lucian. You see this. I don't know if you pointed out to Nyx or not, but
Yes.
okay. So as the two of you sort of look at it, all of a sudden, the air's a little thin. Also, it's starting to get a little bit hard to see.
Nick starts furiously pushing Lucian the other way. Go back, go back, go back. Let's go, 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 go.
You're
Lucian
fire
will use
resistant,
Misty Step to
Oh,
go 30 foot back down the thing.
right? Okay.
having retrieved my shield, I'm gonna just like say to Gad and the other guy that I never bothered to learn the name of, or
Avalon.
that Todd never bothered.
Avalon.
Yeah, that Todd never bothered to learn the name of. He's gonna say, "I hope you guys like fire because this is about to get interesting."
You may want
Yeah.
to let me take that
You
spot.
say that as the room actually starts, as a chunk of the wall in one of the other paths where you saw this sort of glowy stuff, falls, and you can see hot coals burning. There seems to be some kind of oilish substance around them as well. Fall, and the room begins to fill with smoke.
Also, we should probably
From
go.
which direction?
This would be okay. They went in the northernmost tunnel. This would be over to the left. So sort of northeastern or northwestern, rather.
You may want to go now because you're one of the people who needs oxygen. I'll watch the back. And then I'm gonna slap myself on the chest and cast protection from energy and choose fire.
Okay. The room has now actually filled. Started to really start to fill with smoke. It's beginning to billow out of this alcove.
I'm waiting for Lucian and Nyx to run the fuck out.
Yep, Lucian, Nyx, you guys are in. It's now getting really hard to see. You're having to put your hands out on the themselves to actually guide yourself in the correct direction. Lucian, at this point, you, and mind you, the smoke is now filling this tunnel and filling the room. You guys can see no further than 10 feet ahead of you. Period. With dark vision, without dark vision, doesn't matter. It's all obscured.
Yeah.
I would also like Nyx and Lucian and, well, everybody that breathes to make me a Constitution saving throw.
Please.
Even if I was already heading out of there.
Just, yeah, on your way out, yeah. Because there's, as you're heading out, you notice another pocket a little bit further down where this smoke is still coming out.
All right.
All right. So, as you go, Ty, you start to like cough a little bit, but it's not bad, right? I mean, it's smoke, right? It's just filling the area. You're gonna cough a little. But it's not so bad at the moment. And you sort of continue to make your way out with Verdith. Speaking of which, let's just have a little bit of fun with Verdith here. Yeah, he's all right. The two of you head out while Avalon and Gad stay back to escort the other two out. You guys, yeah. So, sorry, Verdith and Ta, you guys you're making your way out. It's a little bit slow going. It's starting to get hard to see, but it's a little the smoke is a bit thinner here. There's less, or there's more volume to fill before you're at the same state, so it's not quite so bad.
I still have the light axes going.
Okay.
Or light
Nyx
axe.
and Lucian. Yeah.
Yes.
Pickaxe, yeah. So you guys, you notice a couple of things. One, there's light behind you. It's starting to get brighter.
That's not good.
It's starting to get a little bit warmer. Actually, no, it's starting to get a lot warmer. Yeah, it's getting brighter and warmer and brighter and warmer, and
Can we
it's
see
getting
the,
harder and harder to see. Yeah. Nyx, you're having trouble. You're kind of stumbling. You're bringing up the rear here, unfortunately for you. But you're starting to cough. like a decent amount. The smoke, like you're good with fire, but smoke is still, hard to frickin' breathe. The oxygen content in this pathway is starting to drop.
Well, shit.
Better fucking move.
What can you
Um,
cast?
So, as the fire is beginning to catch up to you, I'd like a dexterity check from Nyx and Lucian. Nyx, yeah, it's gonna be
Oof.
okay. Oh boy.
Oh no.
Oh.
Okay.
Rip.
Can I see the middle?
Nope.
Feeble in your old age.
Nyx, as you're going, you trip on an uneven bit on the ground. That's pretty normal. I mean, everything in here is kind of uneven. You sort of fall into Lucian. Lucian, you lose your footing as well on another piece of uneven ground. And the two of you sort of bowl over on basically falling into a pile as you can now hear the flames roaring towards you.
Got another one of them dimensional doors.
Yep. And I'll touch him in dimension door shit.
Can you post
Those-
that, please?
Yeah.
It's 500 foot, right?
Yeah, it's 500.
Okay. Let's see here. Okay, so how exactly are you gonna get there? Can't see where it is you want to be. Give me a history check to remember exactly the route and where the curves are.
Okay.
If you want.
What the fuck? Ooh.
You are in rock.
Okay. I didn't realize this was the deadly thing today, but okay. Next, as you grab onto Lucian and Dimension Door out, you do in fact Dimension Door 500 feet away. I would like
Uh-oh.
Nyx to roll me a d8.
Oh, shit.
Lucian to roll me a d8. Okay.
Oh no.
Okay. Lucian,
Yep.
as you appear back, the smoke is slightly less here, but not by much, right? You can feel Nyx's hand on, or Nyx's right arm, across your back, holding onto you for the Dimension Door spell. You can feel your feet on the ground. You can also feel an intense amount of pain, unlike anything you have ever felt before, coming from your left arm. As you try to pull away instinctively, you cannot. Nyx, you feel that same pain from the waist down. As you feel around, you realize that, Lucian, your left arm, and Nyx, you from the waist down, are embedded in the stone.
Are they
I
coming
need
yet?
both of you around, because that's how this works. If you're in another,
Would this help?
this will be 10 damage. Yeah, I mean, there is a little bit of that magma. I need both of you to take 10. I guess it'll be considered force damage, as you and the stone are attempting to occupy the same space, and I'm going to give you a little hint. Stone tends to win that fight.
Yes.
Okay, so you're molding earth. Let's see here.
I'm not sure if any one of those would apply.
Yeah, totally. Dirt
You
or
can
stone?
begin to dig out your arm a bit. I mean, you're in up to like the middle of the bicep. So you know, yeah, yeah. This is what happens. Um, Meanwhile, so as this is all happening, Ta and Verdith are gonna have to make me another set of Constitution saves. 15. Okay. On their way out as the mine itself is filling with smoke. You guys are like a mile in, by the way. I would point that out. Just wait on Todd then. Meanwhile, I need a con save from you for the smoke.
Oh, sorry, I was talking to people.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
Okay. You, Todd, notice Verdith start to double over as he's having a really hard time breathing, and you're having a hard time breathing too. It's not quite as you're not quite as badly affected.
I'm just gonna
But-
try and like drag him along behind me.
Okay, yeah. So you sort of grab onto him and start trying to drag him out. Your visibility is now reduced to about 5 feet in front of your face. You're kind of doing the shield against one wall, the other arm sort of grabbed onto Verdith and pulling him out as best you can. Meanwhile, Nyx and Lucian, what do you want to do here? You guys are stuck in walls.
Can I Misty step out?
I think you might be able to pull that up. I'm trying to remember the spell. I've got it up here though, because you're not the only person who must these steps.
Unfortunately, I can only do it once a day.
Yeah. Okay. So yes, you should be able to do that. I don't see why not. So you teleport yourself. How are you teleporting yourself? You can't see.
I can't see. I just teleport myself like, I don't know, 4 feet or
Okay.
5 feet above where I am. So there's a little give.
I mean, you are kind of like half in, half out. So you have a rough idea of where you need to put your feet. So
Yeah,
you-
yeah,
so,
just above the ground.
As you do, due to the smoke and everything else, and the position that you were in when you landed, as from the dimension door, you do kind of bonk your head against the far wall, as it is pretty narrow. But you are out. However, Lucian is not.
I'm gonna turn around and say, yeah, that kind of sucks, huh?
Yeah.
It's too bad you mentioned the whole wrinkle thing, or else I would have been able to help you out. So I'll just watch, and she'll just like, I don't know, sit down and do like an Indian style sit and just look.
Or you could start.
How you getting out of this one?
I'm gonna at this point I'm shouting down the fucking tunnels like,
Do that
hurry the
again.
fuck up.
Kind of
Okay.
busy.
You managed to get to about your wrist, and at this point, I'll say, it's just past your wrist. Basically, I want you to make me a strength check as to try to pull yourself out now. You managed to clear away a lot. Okay, all right. 13. You managed to sort of pull, but like, it doesn't quite come free. So I'm gonna need a Constitution save from Nyx and Lucian.
There we go.
There you go. You managed to sort of bring yourself back under control. Nyx, not so much. Let's see. Okay, you take 22. I think it's going to be considered poison damage in this case, as this nasty charcoal sort of stuff fills your lungs. You begin coughing violently, and tears well up in your eyes. You can't see anymore. Period. basically. You can see shapes and colors, kind of, but you could kind of see stuff ahead of you before. I mean, really vaguely, foot, maybe two. Now it's just a blur of, tears and smoke and everything. It's also very hard to breathe, considering. Lucian, you are going to take half of that as you manage to stave off most of the effects, but it's still, the charcoal is still filling your lungs, and it's not doing good things there.
I know it sounds weird, but can Nix use the water breathing ritual?
Sure, you can use water breathing.
Are you sure you want to do the ritual?
Actually, how long? If you're doing it as a ritual, it's going to take a minute to cast minimum.
Do we
I wanna
have that?
just
And you can
go.
only do it as a ritual
Right.
as well. So yeah.
Oh wait. Yeah. Okay. Never.
So yeah, you'll make 10 rolls, and take damage each time.
Oh.
Just like that.
Never mind.
Just go.
Yeah. I guess. Yeah. I guess. Fuck. I don't know. Do I know which direction is out?
Yeah, you have a pretty good idea of that.
Okay. I guess she'll start going. See you later.
Yep.
Okay. Lucian, what do you want to do?
Try it one more time.
All right. I'll say for the purposes of this, with that con save earlier, you managed to free your hand for the most part, minus like your middle finger a little bit, but that's easy to sort of pull out. It's not,
Yep.
it's not actually on like a point where it can grab onto you.
And then I'm gonna cast this.
Okay. So you increase your speed by 10 feet, and I assume then you're just going to start running like a psychopath.
Yep.
All right.
Until I catch up with Nyx and then cast it on her as well.
Okay. So you guys are headed towards the end of the tunnel. I'm going to need one more Constitution save from you guys. Meanwhile, Ta, the place is filling with smoke. You have an idea of where you need to be, where you need to go. You and Verdith are moving pretty quickly. Let's go ahead and do Constitution saves there as well. Verdith sort of recovers himself barely. All right. Yeah, Ta.
Nope,
Con
sorry.
save. Con save. Okay,
Juggle
two of you
force.
barely managed to stay sane. So, meanwhile, let's see here. Okay, so Nyx takes 14 poison damage, I guess is what we're gonna call it. Lucian and Ta and Verdith take half of that and are not really affected.
Is this
Negatively.
for like the
This is the
smoke or
smoke
ash and
inhalation,
smoke? Okay.
basically. Smoke and ash filling your lungs and making you cough and all that stuff.
Right.
You managed to shrug off the effects of, the coughing and all, kind of hold it together, but it's still, not healthy, we'll say. Nyx, you begin coughing and kind of doubling over a little bit. Lucian, you kind of grab on to Nyx there towards the end as you guys make a mad dash for what you can see is now light ahead of you. You don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, necessarily. You see light behind you, sort of a red-orange light, and a more whitish light in front of you.
Is this us?
Go towards the light.
Yeah, that's Lucian and Nyx see the light ahead of them, sort of a whitish light. They also see a red-orange light behind them, which they know is fire. You guys know that's fire. At least behind you.
I'm gonna keep going.
Okay. You guys run out. Lucian, you're kind of like dragging Nyx behind you as best you can. You're sort of doing a side shuffle, which is real weird. Nyx, you're coughing, and you guys pop out, and all of a sudden there are no walls around you.
I grab Nyx and then I tell Lucian, run. And then I'm gonna fucking bolt out of there.
Make me a perception check. Okay. You hear two individuals come through, right? You're not entirely sure where they came through from, as you cannot see properly.
Oh, I
as you're
was waiting
feeling
right next to
around
the
for-
entrance to the.
Yeah, you're pretty close to the entrance, but you're either going to be right on the entrance and block them from getting out, or you're back a little bit and you're sort of feeling around trying to find them. As they both kind of collapse through the doorway. Avalon will actually sort of start looking around as well, trying to help you find these two. I mean, they can help in that regard, considering Lucian at least has a voice, and you're hearing coughing coming a little ways away.
Hello,
It takes you
anyone
a
there?
second.
Hey, alright, Avalon, grab the talking one. I'm gonna grab the coughing one.
Marco.
Avalon, all right, so all of a sudden, Lucian, you feel yourself literally, you feel two large metallic hands grab onto you, one by like it takes a second, but like one by the back of the breastplate, the other one essentially by the belt. And all of a sudden you feel yourself being lifted up, and then you feel smoke and air and just everything whizzing by you as Avalon literally bolts out of the room.
I will touch him, but not inappropriately, and cast that on him.
Okay, so he's got a 50-foot movement speed and can dash. All right, so so he is hauling
Run,
ass
motherfucker,
through
run.
there. You actually start to hear. You can kind of feel like his frame on your left side, and you can hear like metal scraping against stone further to the left. It seems like he's using his shoulder as a guide out of this place. Meanwhile, Gad, you fish around for a couple minutes, eventually finding the coughing figure of Nyx. You just sort of grab onto her.
I'm gonna start
Yeah.
sprinting the fuck out of there and cast Cure Wounds.
Okay, so you cure wounds on Nyx. Nyx, you are essentially slung over Gad's shoulder as he starts taking off down that way. You heal 10 HP. That D8 could have been a little nicer, but
Yeah,
whatever.
and I've used my Pearl of Power, so
Okay, yeah.
that was from a protection from energy. Alright.
All right. So you start bolting down the hallway as well, because
I'm
nobody
gonna have her
else-
in like a princess carrier or like a football in front of me.
Oh, okay, okay. So yeah, next you
So
are.
most of me and my 1/4 fire damage is between her and whatever the fuck is coming.
Okay. So for the rest of the way out, Nyx and Lucian make me con saves, and then Verdith and Ta will make me one set of final con saves. So actually, all be final con saves just to make it easier for me.
I don't want to roll. Can I not roll?
I believe in you.
Okay. So. That's for the distance. Okay. Ta. You take, it'll be 8 more poison damage. Next, you take 16. Lucian, you take 8. And then Verdith takes 4. As it's the sort of the final bits of smoke inhalation as you guys break free of the mine itself. Ta and Verdith, with the head start, you guys managed to get out, and you can see smoke now streaming from the mouth of the cave as your vision kind of comes back to you. about 30 seconds later, maximum, you see two metal figures burst through the smoke, carrying two other figures, coughing and retching. Essentially, at this point,
I'm gonna go and head off to one side, any side, away from the
Okay.
smoke.
Okay, yeah. You guys just sort of, I assume you guys will be back away from the smoke, but it's pluming up. It looks like a crazy chimney just sort of burning through the, with this large pillar of smoke coming up towards the sky.
And as soon as I set Nyx down and just basically like take a bulwark position, I'm gonna trigger my Ion Stone, and everybody gets 13 hit points.
Okay. So you guys are now outside. It is mid-afternoon, basically, or not mid-afternoon, but I mean, you guys have been out for a while. So yeah, about 2 o'clock in the afternoon now. The sun is beating down on you, and you're. I mean, after all the smoke and everything, your eyes are. Your eyes are irritated as all hell, and it's uncomfortable. But there is fresh air outside, and you guys kind of catch your breath as you watch this plume of smoke emanating from the cave.
Was it
Uh,
was it a really sooty smoke?
Yeah.
So like, is
Yeah.
my armor now just straight?
Oh
black?
yeah, no. Yeah,
That's
your
fucking awesome.
armor isn't really straight black exactly, but it is covered in soot. It is.
Kind of charcoal colored.
Mostly, like,
Yeah, I mean there are like streaks from where you were against the wall here and there. There are. I mean it's nasty. In fact, all of y'all are like that, including the two Warforged.
Yes,
I just-
black
I just kinda-
with orange.
Yeah, I kind of look at it like, I think I could pull off black. Also, hey, why did we send the fireball down the coal tunnel and then explode them?
We didn't know it was a coal tunnel.
It
Oh,
was
yeah, I thought there was coal in the main room too.
No, it
also,
was soot. It
I
wasn't
think that was
necessarily
the wrong cave.
however,
Or was it the
Avalon
right?
looks to all of you and says, I'm going to go fetch some people to help put this fire out. I'll be back soon. And then takes off.
I mean, it would probably burn itself out, but sure.
Yeah, but,
Maybe, maybe not.
we'll find out. So, the five of you, including Verdith, are just watching this plume of smoke coming out, being kind of ridiculous.
I
I think,
offer Nyx a water skin.
Fair enough. I think we're going to take a quick fiver here after that little bit. And and you guys can, if you guys want to consider this a short rest, I suppose you can do that.
Busty, you're back one session and you're almost already dead.
Yeah, are you high related?
Yes, they are somehow. So yeah, they're both fireballs. It's just different kinds of fireballs.
Well, it was more of the whole like you almost died like second session back sort of thing.
Yeah. Well,
Well, at least you know it's me then, right?
yeah, exactly. All right, so I'll be back in just a minute, just because, drink.
Yeah, same.
Oh man, this is like bad news bears.
It could have gone worse.
It could have gone a lot worse.
I thought about trying to use fabricate, but
That takes 10
Yeah.
minutes.
10-minute cast.
Yeah, I was thinking about it too when I was waiting at the at the end. It's like, oh, I could use fabricate to seal up the tunnel, so like we have a little extra time.
It was coming out of multiple tunnels.
Yeah, but like the main one where the I don't know, but I do know that the magma was coming from.
I'm not sure if it was magma. Wondering
Yeah, I
if
don't know.
maybe it was just like the coal had caught fire and was burning where we couldn't see it. Kind of like that town that Silent Hill's based off of.
Oh, yeah, that creepy ass town.
Yeah,
Ugh.
where the fire's been burning underground for what, something like 10, 15 years or something like that.
There's also some other location that's like the Hellhole that where it's been burning for like 100 years.
Yeah, maybe that's the same thing that I don't know. I should be leaving for work, but you know what? I'm not feeling it right now.
I mean, it is work. Gotta pay for the things somehow. No, Devra's a gas crater. The door gates to hell, Ludin Derwizi, Turkmenistan. It's been on fire for um, almost 60 years.
Wow.
No, wait, no, more than 40 years. Continued to run for more than 4 decades. 1971. So 47 years, my bad.
That's impressive.
That's a lot of gas that could be used. Man, poor decisions. I guess we've got an active volcano or some shit. Seriously though, Tanaka, you are going to work, right?
Eventually.
Alright, cool. Busty, you back? I'll take that as a no. Does anybody remember if Robin said that Nick saw like a man-made corner or like just like a sharp or like just a corner?
I don't remember.
All right, I'm back.
Took me long enough.
And I forgot my water bottle. Hang on.
Good job.
That's the one thing you said you were gonna get. Man, that was a bit more southern than I intended.
Yep.
There we go. I'm good now.
Ryburn, did you say that Nick's found a sharp, man-made corridor, or just like a naturally
like it.
occurring corridor? Okay. Awesome. Just want to make sure I remember it correctly.
Yeah. It seemed like a much sharp, because the path was mostly straight. It winded a little bit, but it was mostly straight, except for that corner. That corner was very sharp.
Oh yeah, short rest. That's right. Totally forgot to hit the dice.
I don't think I get anything back on a short rest, so
Health, if you need it.
I haven't taken any health damage. I don't need to breathe. It's the second time it's come in handy.
Yeah, it's a nice trait.
One more.
All right. We'll consider this a short rest, just so you know next, so you can use hit dice.
Oh,
if
I
you
didn't
need
mean to cast that, by the way.
You're good.
Perfect.
Unless, I guess I'll cast it on Nyx. She's still coughing her fucking lungs out.
Yeah. Yeah, next to you, all of a sudden feel it's much easier to breathe. You no longer, in the middle of a coughing fit. It's always nice.
And you got a total of 23 hit points from combined healing.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay. So.
Whew. I'm gonna set my glowing pickaxe down and just sit.
Okay.
Well, I don't know what we were hoping to find, but I don't think it was that.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I mean, if it was, then.
We
Well,
found it.
yeah, right. That was my thought. But yeah, so you're watching the smoke come out of the mouth of this cave, or this mine rather.
What did
Anything
you
you
do,
want?
Nyx?
What?
What did you do? It's
I
fine
don't know.
until you went in there, and then
Yeah, I don't. You know what? Just fires just kind of happen around me. I don't really mean to do them. They just happen. Okay. All right. On to the next cave.
There are 2 other caves.
I think it would be better for us to wait for Avalon to come back, or just go back to town. It is end of the afternoon now.
Yeah, and there's only 2 caves left.
Mm-hmm.
And we already have great camouflage for the night because of all the set. So we could just go right into the stakeout.
Yeah, it's a little How do I put this?
Patchy.
Yeah, and it's still early-ish. I mean, it's only like 3 o'clock in the afternoon right now. But another 20 minutes goes by, and Avalon and some of the townspeople that you've seen sort of show up, and with Domiel actually, and he's got a couple of small bottles with him. Uh, he comes up and starts asking you what happened and all, and trying to understand the situation.
Just point at Nyx and Lucian. They will probably know best.
Fair enough.
I cast sleep on Lucian.
Oh god. I'm not sure that's gonna go the way that you want it to, but
I'm just kidding.
you'd have to have a very high sleep
Right
or
to the
a high
death.
level sleeps cast anyway. So
Yeah, half elf resistant. Or immune. Or is it resistant or immune?
resistant.
Resistant. Yeah.
Lucian,
Used
we're
to be
gonna have a
immune.
really great love-hate relationship. I'm looking forward to this.
I think it's gonna be
Oh, no.
bordering more on hate.
No. Fey ancestry. You have advantage on saving throws against being charmed, and magic cannot put you to sleep.
Huh?
He
Okay.
should.
Yeah,
Completely
that's-
immune. That's great.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a good ability. So, thank you, Saber, for that.
Mortal Kombat.
So, as you're looking over the whole situation as best you can, there are Nix, you remember like you touched the coal, but like you didn't ignite it. It did ignite for a little bit afterwards. You also remember the sort of loud cracking sounds that you heard. In fact, all of you would recognize, or would have heard that. And then you sort of retell the harrowing tale of getting the hell out of there in as short a period of time as possible. So, the townsfolk have buckets, and Domiel says, "All right, well, perhaps we'll talk in a moment." And he opens 2 of these bottles and begins pouring water into these buckets. And the bottles are only, they look like they might hold maybe 8 ounces of water, but water just keeps coming out. You guys would recognize this as bottles of endless water from essentially the shower on your airship.
Fuck. How many bottles does he have?
2.
Okay.
Double-headed shower? What?
You can get a shower and a bath going at the same time.
But yeah, he's filling buckets, and they're just pouring them straight down the mine's entrance to sort of wet it to make sure that the fire doesn't spread outside of the mine. And after they sort of get that going, he sort of looks back at you and says, "I recognize that we can't really put the fire out. We'll have to let it burn into a smolder, but
If you trust us with it, me and Avalon should just go in there and put it all out. We don't need oxygen. Or we don't need air.
no, but the heat will damage you. I can almost promise that. Plus, if what you say is true, it sounds like the cave very well, or the mine very well may be unstable. And you can't get to the source if what else you said was true. It's not large enough for you to get in."
True.
The fact is, we're stuck with this. However, which cave or which branch were you in?
The right one.
And while you were in there, which branch out piece were you in? Do you know?
Ta.
Nix, was that corner that you saw, was that man-made, or was that just a like hard corner? Like, was it
One-
stone, like
That's-
bricks?
What, at the coal?
Yeah, yeah. But the farthest point that you got to where you saw that corner.
Oh, would I?
You would have seen it. Yeah, it wasn't bricks exactly, but it was a very dark, smooth stone, different to almost black. Different to the rest of, what the cave was made of. It was it definitely stood out.
Yeah, probably man-made, I would assume.
Hmm.
It leads somewhere. Is it like a forge or what? That sort of heat and smoke doesn't.
Does a forge use like several explosions to do their forging? Is that like a thing?
Depending on what you want to start it with.
Well, I'm wondering if it was either a weirdly natural occurrence, which doesn't seem right, or if there was like some sort of trap that you guys might have triggered, that you found something and then someone or thing didn't want you to go any further.
It's possible.
That's ridiculous. Nobody here even knows me yet. Like, no.
Doesn't have to be you. It could be anybody.
I love the fact that it's just like, yeah, but as soon as they do know me, of course they're gonna burning me alive. But until then, we're fine. Sorry, just makes me happy.
Did you guys check for any traps or magic triggers?
Sure.
Insight check.
Sure, why not?
Yes, we absolutely did. Oh shit.
I have a pretty good insight.
Oh,
Wow! I forgot how good you are at lying.
You,
Yeah,
they
no.
seem to be Nick seems to be telling the truth. Lucian doesn't seem to be giving anything away necessarily, but at the same time, he's not really saying anything.
I'm such a bitch.
I honestly forgot how good you were
You
at
are.
that.
Oh well. Yeah, as far as you can tell, telling the truth.
Well, unless you find something that's at least more resistant to fire than I am, I don't think we should send anybody in there to investigate.
I'm resistant to fire, and I almost died.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, look at you.
Domiel is sort of just listening, by the way, and he eventually produces a large parchment from one of his packs and begins laying it down on the ground, sort of spreading it out. A second or two goes by, and he has this large parchment, which is a map of those two mines. You recognize it.
Well, that would have
And-
been handy.
I'll
and-
hand him that other map we found.
Who else would
Okay.
have access to these maps?
Well, they're kept at the magistrate's office, of course, as most blueprints for houses and things like general city issues are. I mean,
And then I'll add, and then I'll just point towards the maps that I gave Nyx that she's handing over. Well, how did these get inside the mines?
that's pretty normal. Foreman, the typical foreman or engineer would likely have maps while they're down there to mark out productive areas and areas that should be left alone, and it's not odd, I don't think. I mean, I suppose it's odd that they were left there, but people forget things. I don't see a problem there. However, what I'd like to know is which branch were you taking? And you can see the small room marked out and all the branches, going in different directions.
Was it 12 and 25? Or 23?
No. Those were some of them in there, but the one that you went into would have been 27, I want to say.
I'll just look for the one that looks like a room we were in.
Yeah, no, you can see the room. And then the small little branches off of the actual like mining areas, right? And he's asking which branch off you from that room you guys were in.
To lead to the fire.
Yes.
Well, but it was coming from the fire was coming from multiple tunnels, wasn't it?
The smoke
Right, but he's
was-
wondering which one
Right,
that you
which
guys
One
one
went down.
yeah,
point
you
it out.
guys went down.
I don't
Okay, so you
remember
point out the northernmost, the one that headed off in the northernmost direction. He sort of traces it up and says, these maps are somewhat incomplete, as they were the last set before we shut down the mines. However, the mines were in production before that, or up until that point. Interesting. And he pulls out another map. This one is much more hand drawn. The other one seems to be done, almost professionally by somebody who was, whatever. This one is drawn in, a little bit more roughly, but he sort of sets this above, sort of above the northern area, or the northern path that Nyx and Lucian took, and says, "This is the map to. Well, this is the map to my mine, the one that Avalon worked on for me. As far as I can tell, it seems that these two places. I mean, if you continued north from where you were in a relatively straight line, you'd run into my mine."
Is your mind connected to anything else?
Not that I know of.
It was stripped.
We haven't used it in quite some time, but it didn't run into any connections or anything.
It was
No.
stripped, was it not? Or is that the
Avalon got
collapse one?
most things out of it, yeah.
Not to arouse any suspicions or anything, but do we have your permission to investigate that in your mind there?
Sure, if we can get to the bottom of this, it'd be great. I haven't been back there in quite some time, but perhaps that's a problem. Perhaps we should look at it.
What do you think, Todd?
Well, I mean, Avalon spent a lot of time in there, right? So he would know generally what was in there, unless it's been a while.
Well, it's been some time. However,
At least a couple decades.
no, 3 years probably.
Oh, then yeah, let's check it out.
All right.
Can we fit?
I thought
in
it.
there?
I thought it had been like weeks or months.
No, it's been years since they
Then, yeah.
used that mine. They haven't had a reason to.
Is there any other way to access this mine other than this route?
Access mine.
Yes.
There's the outside route. That's the only way that I know of to access it.
All right, let's
So
do
you
it.
said outside.
Yeah, like a normal.
Yeah, there's a
mining.
regular entrance, but that's the only way that I know of to access it.
That sounds like a good place to start.
All right. Is everybody
Okay, let's go.
We're good to go.
All right.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, may as well.
All right.
I'm gonna change over a spell slot for some sorcery points.
Okay. So, you guys then head out towards the other mine. Domiel comes with you, at least for the moment, with Avalon. And you guys head up north. You guys have to kind of swing around. So you guys are kind of here-ish. You guys come up and then out and then down. As you do, it's a solid couple hours walk. So it's about 4:30 by the time you get there. You can see the area. There's sort of like a makeshift road that's been put together, or that was put together for Avalon's crazy amount of shit that he pulled out of the mine. Obviously, very disused. But as you're heading, you can see the entrance cave area and some old, stacked up boxes that don't seem to have been used in forever.
Is there a minecart and tracks?
There are no tracks. There is, however, sort of a makeshift minecart, just a couple of wheels on a essentially a very, very, very large bucket. Sort of like a wheelbarrow with 4 wheels instead.
Nix thinks about it for a second, but yeah, okay, she'll keep.
All right. Anything you guys want to do on the way in, or
Light access.
But the
Or you go
sneaky
in or
people up
whatever.
front. Nope, sneaky people up front. That's it.
Yeah. And then I'm just gonna cast the light cantrip on my pickaxe, or like my belt.
Okay. So, you guys head in to the mine then. This one is very different. It's a lot wider to accommodate Avalon. Also, it seems like everything's just been dug out of this place. I mean, really and truly, everything. There's, areas of stone that have just been almost decimated from what you probably would assume is just flying pickaxes everywhere. You have you guys kind of continue down a ways. The path is sort of very windy. It goes out to the left in like a long arc and then swings back, almost doing like an S shape. It continues down probably about 1,000 feet and stops.
Just stops.
Yeah.
I want to inspect the end of the cave.
Okay.
Tap it, see if there's any like hollow spots or stuff.
Sure.
I
Give
will
me
start.
investigation.
I will start to cast detect magic as ritual.
Okay. All right. You sort of tap around, examining the area. So for context, really quickly, right? These ones kind of go in that way, right? In a general sense, the twin caves. This one kind of goes in this way, right? So you're sort of messing around with the end of the cave. Nothing really comes out of you here as hollow. There is you do notice a few, I wouldn't say odd. Living underground with dwarves, you would notice that there are ore veins on the other side of the wall. They just haven't been dug out. Not too far away, you can just tell from the different densities as you sort of knock on the walls. But there's no open pockets here at the end of the cave. At least none that you can really find. If there are, I mean, they're very, very, very small.
There's something here. I'm gonna start pickaxing at it.
Okay.
At the ores.
Okay. So you start breaking down the wall a little bit. It takes you a good 2-3 minutes to actually like clear away and actually see something. On the far side, you do in fact see a bit of reflection from the light spell on the pickaxe, I believe. Or is it on the belt?
It's on the
Doesn't really matter.
belt, yeah.
Okay.
It's still bright
On
light.
the, off the belt, you can kind of see a sort of a translucent reflection of cloudy crystal through the small hole that you've picked into the side of the wall.
Is this I'm just gonna like turn my head over my shoulder and just ask, like, is this quartz?
Avalon and Domiel sort of walk over. It seems to be, yes. Didn't realize there was more here.
I'm gonna finish digging it out.
Okay. So what are the rest of you doing?
I believe Nyx was casting a detect magic ritual.
Okay. And the rest of the group?
I mean, I don't really have anything else to do except for look around, see if anything else has been
Sure.
dug out or accessed. Or
Give me perception or investigation, depending on how you want. Probably
I'm going to do an investigation.
Yeah, it'd probably be investigation. Okay. All right.
Detective Ta on the case.
So how far away would you be willing to walk? I mean, he's just kind of going at the wall now.
Yeah, it's, however far. I mean, like we came in here with no
Okay.
resistance, so
Yeah, I
doesn't
mean
matter.
it's only about 1,000 feet long or so.
Yeah.
So you start walking back. So you start walking back towards the entrance. Sort of noting you got your own, sort of fresh footprints in the rock dust here and there. As you go, and get over towards the entrance, just sort of checking things out. You do see something. It's a little bit odd.
Alright, Tanaka,
You
see
see
you
a
around.
bush. Okay. Take it easy, Lucian. Alright, Tanaka. You see a bush. It's growing at an odd angle.
Is it in the cave?
No. It's just
Oh,
outside. You
okay.
sort of walked all the way back there.
Okay.
You see a bush growing at an odd angle. Now, you've tracked orcs plenty through the wildlands and stuff. You recognize kind of what this is. You also grew up in, sort of a
The
small village.
woods. Yeah.
Yeah. This is something that you've seen a few times, and it's not that odd on like a game trail or something like that. But bushes normally try to grow up, right? This is growing off at like a 45-degree angle, and you'd know that, if something like that was stepped on repeatedly or even once or twice and continued to grow, that could be an explanation. you would also know that, these bushes are relatively fast growing, and this one's not that big.
Okay. Like it looks as if there's like something like it's been covering a hole, or like could I move it aside, or is it as if somebody's just sort of trod on it?
It looks like somebody has been here recently, basically.
Okay.
The bushes, you can see now that you're kind of looking at it, there's a couple of other, it almost looks like a vague game trail. Like, it's not like a lot of people have been here, maybe one or two. But there's a vague path sort of leading slightly north, slightly west from the entrance to this cave.
Okay. I'll get on the Rocky Talkie and say, hey, I may have found a path leading from here, which we might want to follow if there's nothing in that cave.
Meanwhile, Gad, you are still chipping away at the quartz. You realize now, this is a lot of quartz. This is if you want to dig all of this out, it's gonna take you a couple days.
Oh, it's a fuck ton. It's a fuck huge, large deposit of quartz.
Yes.
Oh,
You do
yeah,
have
I'm
a
gonna.
good couple chunks, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and. That came over the radio, right? Or the walkie-talkie.
Yeah.
We can always come
Yep.
back for. Well, you guys can always come back for this later.
Meanwhile, Nyx, your spell just came up. About this time. As you look around, where are you standing? The hallway's about 10, 15 feet wide. 15.
She's like facing the wall that just stops where
Okay.
pretty close to where Gad is, and if she
Okay.
doesn't see anything, she's just gonna start walking out and see if there's anything else.
Okay. The quartz actually emanates a very, very faint magical aura. Now, quartz is typical to kind of do that. It has sort of a vague magical property about it, especially if there's magic around it. It'll sort of absorb that. That's why it's so useful for things like lights and things like that. It tends to last longer, or quartz is more malleable magically. However, you do kind of notice that it seems to be kind of vaguely heat related or fire related, but it's so minor, it's really hard to tell exactly why that would be the case. But that's about all you see here.
Okay, then yeah, I'll start walking out.
Okay. Make me a perception check on the way out. It'll be.
Sorry, you cut out. What?
Make me a perception check as you're walking out. Did say advantage, so you get one more.
Oh,
roll.
you cut
Yeah,
out again. Sorry.
Yeah, that.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Hey.
Okay. On your way out, you're just kind of looking around as one normally does with detect magic up, and you see two things. One, you see what looks like a residual transmutation type of magic. I believe you would know this as a lot of creation kinds of spells, right? Use transmutation, creating water or whatever, right? Or altering. You also see illusion magic off to the left hand side, about as you're walking out anyway, off to the left hand side, about halfway through the tunnel.
Okay. Yeah, I guess Nyx will use the Rocky Talkie and tell everybody to meet her in the cave. She may have found something.
All right.
Yeah, as soon as like I'm following her out when I'm done, like realizing this is I know I can't dig this out.
Well, you see what looks like a perfectly regular, I mean, irregular in the sense a cave, but like perfectly normal cave wall. You don't see anything beyond that. Nick sees some of the magic around it. But yeah, Ta, you meet up with them after a couple of minutes, or a few seconds or whatever. Sort of back down to meet up with them. And next, you looking through it, you see it's probably a oh 10-foot wide, 10-foot high-ish area that has been, that has this illusion and transmutation magic attached to it.
Okay. Um, is Lucian still with us?
Yes.
Nix will ask Lucian if he can dispel magic this area.
He looks at you and says, I mean, sure, but what's going on there? I need to know what I'm dispelling. I can only dispel one thing at a time.
All right. Well, I see two things. There's illusion magic and transmutation magic.
Okay, which one do you want me to dispel?
What do you guys think?
Illusion.
Probably illusion.
Okay, illusion it is.
If it's stone, we can always just break it apart.
All right, so he sort of concentrates for a second, casts dispel magic at the effect. The perfectly normal cave wall fades into in this area anyway, into an indent about 2 feet back, and a perfectly flat, smooth stone wall.
That's not normal.
Can you do transmutation as well next? I mean, or you're out of spells?
Let me look. I don't know where he's at right now. Where is he?
He hasn't used this. Oh wait, no, he's used like 3 long
He's used
strider
a
spells.
couple. Yep. Unless he used. I didn't use that. Okay. All right. Yeah, he can do that. He can try anyway. It'll be. Sorry, I was just trying to make sure I get this right. There we go. So he casts his dispel magic, and I'm gonna just do this really quick. All right, and he makes an ability check using your spellcasting ability. All right, so his spellcasting ability is intelligence. Okay. Yep. +5. The effect fades, and you can see now a flame lit pathway that leads down a little way. Well, decent ways. As this cell seems to be mostly on ground level, this leads downward and sort of a very almost a circular staircase sort of thing, but it's not open, right? You can just sort of see how it curves and goes downward.
You didn't know anything about this?
I had no idea.
Yeah, I probably won't make that. No.
No, I mean, at the same time, like, he's telling the truth as far as you can tell.
Yeah, I mean it's his mind, but like yeah.
I haven't been here in years. I had no idea this was what was going on.
And everybody knew you had your mind here.
Yes, of course.
All right, I'm gonna start walking down.
Okay. Anybody else? Everybody going down? Okay.
How's everybody else looking, spell-wise?
Pretty good.
All right.
Okay, then.
All right. So now we get to have a little bit of fun too. You do come as you're the path. You see that there are actually torches that are lit the whole way.
Do they give off any heat?
Yeah, very slight amount. I mean, they're it's dim light. It's not even like a full torch, really. It's almost like candlelight, right? However, as you're continuing down, you realize you're going pretty deep, but maybe not as deep as you thought, as the path begins to straighten out a little bit and it widens significantly until you come to a decently large chamber. It opens with here. You can see a couple of small details here. There's a winding path over what looks like another cave entrance. The area is somewhat lit, but mostly from the torches in the main path. There is further light coming from said cave entrance.
Are there any markings in the wall denoting like, oh, this goes here or this path is this place?
Not that you can see. Nothing that jumps out at you. It all seems rough-hewn stone. You can hear perhaps almost the sound of bellows in coming from a little ways away, though. Almost like a deep breathing sound, I suppose. There's odd mold or moss growing, sort of cave moss growing on the ground. You can also see, actually, from here, sort of from the mouth, from the path that goes around anyway, from the mouth of that. Make me a perception check if you'd like. It's a little bit hard to see everything in this room.
Anybody want to help?
I'm not the right person to ask about that.
Well, it wouldn't have mattered anyways because advantage would have sucked.
I guess I'll try. Nope.
Hey,
So-
how about Lucian?
He ain't here. And you guys got 2 checks right there, and so pretty good. As you're looking, Nyx, you see. I mean, it's just an odd detail because, like, all the stone's been black, right, or gray, but there are little flecks of white on the floor. It look like stone to you from here. But yeah, there are little flecks of like white stone here and there, kind of in this open area.
I will go
Or more
investigate it. Well, I'll say I see some white shit, and then I'll go.
Okay.
Seagull crab, probably.
I'll look at it as well. See if there's anything I
I'm-
recognize.
Not gonna check for traps because I don't know how to do it.
Okay. The rest, Ta, what are you doing?
I mean, I'm kind of just standing in the, I guess, sort of middle of the back. I don't know what the fuck's in here, so
Are you basically are you following them then, or
yeah, I'll follow him.
I'll
okay?
wait until Ta goes first and then walk behind him.
Of course you fucking will.
Fuck it, I'll go
All right.
first.
Okay. So you guys continue around. You come up to the closest bit. I mean, you kind of had to go over this path around, over the cave entrance because this is pretty high up. But you sort of follow the path around, going carefully as it is a little bit darker at the moment. But you do see this sort of white discoloration on the floor. There's some moss overgrowing it, but it's there, and you guys come up closer and closer. As you do, you're actually in line to kind of look down the path, and well, you can't see anything necessarily. There is light kind of vaguely reflecting off of walls that are darker in color, sort of that black, almost shiny, semi-shiny rock, that Nyx that you saw on the corner of the other pathway. As you approach the white discolorations, you sort of brush some of the moss away, and you all instantly recognize what this is. It's some kind of humanoid skull. You're not entirely sure what kind.
Oh,
Oh,
is it like embedded in anything?
No, it's just there. In fact, as you look around, all the white discolorations seem to be humanoid bones and skulls and so on. In fact, looking at this one, though, it's a little bit odd as the skull itself is somewhat elongated, like looking in a funhouse mirror. The rest of the body seems to be about right for, say, a human or an elf, but the skull is definitely a little bit longer than, or I suppose you could say taller, sort of like the old Egyptian stuff, if you've ever watched that on like History Channel or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Aliens.
Yeah, it sort of looks vaguely that way.
I want to keep this one.
Any of this.
Can we keep it? I'll just like grab the skull and just start like putting it above my head. Just like running around. Like, can we keep this?
You
Don't care.
you already
You're
have
a
your own
grown-up.
skull later.
Okay, so
I'm gonna start a collection.
jeez. You notice two things when you say, "Can I keep this?" And you guys respond. This chamber is big. I mean, it's not huge, right? But it's kind of cavernous. And the sound of your voice echoes for a moment.
I look down.
And then, well, I mean, you're on the ground floor, I guess you could say, right? You're at the bottom of the cavern, but when I say cavern, I just mean large space underground. You start to hear footsteps.
Go.
Click.
Back
How
up.
tall is the chamber?
Of booted or hard-soled shoes on a hard surface like stone. The light from the tunnel begins to get slightly brighter and brighter.
Back. Go
Quick,
back up.
grab
Go
the
back
skull
up.
and let's
Go
go.
back up. Shut up. Just go
Why
back
did
up.
you grab it?
Go
Grab a
back up.
skull.
I'm gonna push her back up.
Don't we have a group of like 6 people down here?
Yep.
Yeah. so
Everybody
that's
grab
not
a skull. Get
I'm
a
gonna
skull.
like
Let's go.
as they're trying to like rush back to the fucking tunnel. I'm just gonna stand there, like
All right,
shield.
you guys are
enemy.
right there.
How tall is the chamber?
Probably a good 30 feet high.
And
Maybe
the
even
tunnel
more.
we came down in was like normal height.
Yeah, 10 foot
Okay.
ish.
What's this
So
over here?
you guys followed this path here around.
Oh.
That's where you're at.
Okay. Fuck it. Seeing as Ta's not gonna move. I'm gonna go. Well, there's room for me to like go like back up here, right?
You could dash up there, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
Okay.
And just sit and ready, waiting. See if anything bad happens.
All right. Throw your tokens out.
Okay. Where am I standing?
You were right here next to the skull. What I'm gonna do versus this Avalon's gonna be over here.
This is open.
No. It ends shortly after.
Cool.
Let me see here. Just trying to make sure everybody is here. Verdith will probably follow your lead here, Ta, and sort of just staying next to you.
Domiel's with us, isn't he?
He is, in fact, with you.
Domiel, please
Is,
go back up the path.
Yeah, I don't have his token with me here. I did make it, I just haven't uploaded it yet. I'll do it later.
I also want to ask if have you guys lost any villagers recently at all?
To anything but fire, no.
Oh, that's a lot of skulls.
That it is. This is odd.
I'm gonna
may
swap
wanna
out a
hide.
spell slot.
Okay. And then you don't get to do anything because you see the flames get brighter this whole time. The light get brighter. And it does turn to flames as an odd figure, regular size, steps through the doorway. The difference is that he seems to have 2 regular arms and then 3 pairs of flaming arms extending from his back. He carries a sword in his right arm, his right real arm, I guess you could say. Seems to be faceless. He steps up to the doorway, looks at each of you very slowly with an eyeless, mouthless, noseless face, readies his weapon, and that's exactly where we're going to end this week.
I hate you.
He's not gonna fight with like 3 or 4 fucking people missing.
Yeah, I'm not going to be that big today. So.
Here, you handle all these sheets.
Yeah, no. In that case, why would I even have players? Like I can just do this myself.
We're just figment of your imagination. You're in a padded room somewhere, just like
Yeah, I know, right?
la 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 la.
There are days I think that that's what's going on. At
Yep.
least I'm pretty sure. Yeah. But you guys found a thing. Also,
Sweet. I'm gonna take his arms and use them for myself.
Oh,
I mean, good luck.
it's probably a pretty nifty sword.
But yeah, ooh.
Can Nyx like add those flaming arms to her hair so she's like
No,
got this
I-
crazy
I
Medusa
wanna-
thing going on?
I don't. Why don't you ask him?
I mean, you could try to ask him about that, but we'll see on the fight. That's we'll open next week.
Yeah, and his answer will be
Yeah, because he doesn't have a mouth.
I have
Or,
no
like,
mouth
point out,
and
he
I
doesn't
must
have a mouth
scream.
or a face or
What about
anything
ears?
like that.
Ear holes.
I don't know.
ear.
The fuck are you even asking me anymore?
Like what reptiles have.
Or freezing.
Yeah. And his brother, Cooler.
Damn it! Now I want to watch Dragon Ball Z. Just saying that because it's been so long. I need to go.
Oh,
Actually, I
there's-
want to go
Just
watch
watch
the
Abridged
original.
again.
Yeah,
there's
this is
Dragon
even
Ball
in my
Super
final
now.
form.
Yeah,
Dude.
I watched some of that.
All right, before we
It's
go too far
over.
off track,
Ending's awesome.
everybody on Twitch, thanks for watching. And for those of you catching this on YouTube, we'll catch you next week or some shit. Who knows? Fire.
Lots of fire.